Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/ProRevenge. Today, we have another brand new set of crazy revenge stories for you. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. And our first story is, My Dad Gets Revenge on Lion Cutters in the Best Way Possible. So, for Christmas one year, my parents got us season passes for Six Flags. We used those passes often throughout the summer as a family and had an amazing time. It was one of these days that it happened. We waited in line for one of the more popular lines, which was at about the 45-minute wait point. This was relatively good for the ride, as you can sometimes wait up to an hour and a half at its busiest points. We got into line, excited to share the ride with our dad, as it's one of the few he can ride, as he had a bad back injury that makes just walking around extremely painful at times. As we were in line, laughing and making jokes while watching the little TVs they have at various points in the line, a group of people rudely cut us and stood in front of us. Our dad had a habit of not letting things slide, so we all braced for cover, waiting for our dad to go off on these people for cutting us, when to our surprise, he didn't say anything. With confused looks, we turned to our dad, wondering why he hadn't told them off and told them to get behind us. He just looked at us with a look in his eyes, saying, "Wait for it." We shrugged it off and continued our wait. We didn't make it too far along in the line at this point, so it was still about a 45-minute wait. As we got closer to the front of the line, we got more and more excited, waiting to get on the ride with our dad and have a great time. The way the line's set up, before you get into the loading station, there's a two-way staircase that has the regular line on one side and the Fast Pass line on the other. And at the top of the stairs, there are workers making sure the people in the Fast Pass line are supposed to be there. This is when my dad strikes. After waiting 45 minutes in line behind the cutters, we stood at the top of the stairs, and my dad signaled for a worker's attention. Once he received it, he pointed to the group that had cut us and calmly stated they had cut us at the beginning of the line. The worker then politely told the group they would need to leave the line and go back to the beginning. They were PO'd, but followed the instructions and left the line. The worker thanked my father for informing them, and suddenly, pieces pushed into place in our mind. Our dad purposely waited until the very last minute to make them have to wait another 45 minutes. Plus more time, actually, as the line was longer now since it was later in the day and more people had arrived. I couldn't help but laugh as I watched them walk out of the line and back towards the beginning, and hoped that they learned their lesson not to cut after that. And our next story. Gym member flips out at me for not knowing who he is. The time was the mid-2000s. I'd graduated from college and was having trouble landing my first professional job. While I searched, I sold gym memberships by day and waited tables by night to make money and get out of my parents' house. My first week on the job at the gym, one of the front desk girls needed to use the bathroom and asked if I would cover. Just take their card, swipe it, and offer them a towel. If they don't have their card, look them up on the computer. Can do. So I swipe a few people in. It's about 4:30 and there are people coming from work. An older guy, probably in his 50s, walks in. He's in his suit, indicating he's coming from work, with a gym bag over his shoulder, and the angle at which he's walking indicates he has no plan at all to attempt to swipe in. I professionally say, "Excuse me, sir, can I see?" And he glances at me, continuing to walk into the gym. Keep in mind I was new and had gone to a 3-day training, overkill, on different ways to sell the gym, and one of the key points was safety, saying things like, "We only let members in, we have everyone's licenses and information on file, etc." I think of these points, so I come out from behind the desk thinking I will gladly look this guy up if he forgot his card. As I approach him, I start to again say how I need to swipe him in, and he freaks the F out on me. It's been over a decade, but the main points were he comes here every day, he never swipes in, and everyone knows who he is, and I'm an idiot. All as loud as could be, in my face, and very aggressive. I'm completely taken aback, embarrassed, and angry. The gym manager comes out of his office and settles things down and tells Gene he can head on in. The manager tells me Gene doesn't like to swipe in, and that when they see him, they just search for him and let him walk on. I'm PO'd, but the manager seems to accept it as something that happens. I continued to work at the gym for 6 months, seeing Gene a few times a week and never saying a word to him. Eventually, while I was gone, one of the other sales reps took one of my prospects and signed them up. The sales girl told the prospect she was my manager and would make sure I got the commission. She was not my manager, and I did not get the commission. The only reason I know this is because the gym member told me. I call her out on it, she defends it. At this point, I'd already put in my 2 weeks' notice, and the manager tells me not to come back in. Fine with me. That place was toxic. So 4 to 5 months later, I get a job at an asset management company, and I'm thrilled. I like my work, and the boss who I directly report to is pretty high up in the company. I work on a building that has 16 floors, and the company I work for occupies floors 14, 15, and 16. I rode the elevator with my boss a few times and saw him interact with the bigwigs from the other companies that are on the other floors of our building. They had an informal group that would often go golfing and to dinners with each other. So one day I'm waiting for the elevator to leave for the day when my boss comes out and gets on the elevator with me. We start to go down, picking up more and more people who are trying to get home, and 3 of them are executives in my boss's social circle. We stop at a floor, and who should get on the elevator, complete with his gym bag, but Gene. He and my boss shake hands, begin discussing weekend plans, etc. My boss then introduces me to Gene, and I give 0 Fs. I've been thinking about this guy for months. Me, oh, Gene and I have already met. I say it in a tone that dictates that Gene and I have some history. My boss is a bit taken aback by my tone. Internally, I hesitate for a moment, but my boss likes me, and this guy mortified me. I'd been in enough customer service/retail jobs since I was 15. I've taken a lot of crap, but this guy was one of the worst. It really stuck with me because it was completely and totally undeserved. I was just trying to do my job. Gene's having a hard time placing me. I tell him, I worked at gym name. My first week, you berated me with obscenities at the top of your lungs because I asked you for your membership card when you walked into the gym. Gene's jaw has now dropped. My boss's head turned from me to Gene. Gene doesn't try to deny it. He just stammers. I never bring my card, and everybody there knows me, so I just walk in. Yeah, the manager told me after our incident. Anyway, like I said, we've met. I just go back to riding the elevator. No one speaking. Elevator gets to the ground floor, and we all go our separate ways. It felt good, but I was regretting it now because we were going into the weekend, and I'll have to wait until Monday morning to see if my boss is upset with my behavior or not. I still waited tables, went right to work, told my coworkers what happened, and we proceeded to get trashed in my honor once the restaurant closed. Monday morning, I get to my desk, and eventually, in my travels through the office, I have to pass my boss's office, who calls me in. He asks for more details about my encounter with Gene. I tell him I pretty much gave you all the details in the elevator. It was my first week selling gym memberships. He knew of the job. It was on my resume. I was covering for a front desk person who needed to use the restroom. Gene walked in, and I was told to scan everyone into the gym. I tried to tell Gene this, and he went off on me. Honestly, I've been thinking about him for months, and I was blown away when he got on the elevator. I've never really said anything like that to anyone, and I didn't plan on it. It just sort of came out as soon as I saw his face. My boss was blown away that it happened. He said that Gene's excuse on the elevator was, "Oh yeah, I never bring my card." I said, yeah, he could have said that. He could have explained it to me. Could have told me his name. Could have said, "Talk to the manager, everyone knows me." But he chose to explode over something like this, and a 22-year-old just trying to do his job. Eventually, my boss told the other executives, and they cut Gene out of the circle. I got on the elevator a few times with me and Gene only, and each time I was sure to give him a smile and say, "Hi, Gene." He got what he wanted. I never forgot who he was. Found out today, my friend is good at ProRevenge. Every now and again, my buddy rings me to see if I want to work. Let's call him Jack. He's pretty much a jack of all trades when it comes to home construction and a master at drywall. Really speedy and does everything proper. He told me when he first started, he was 20 years old and there were plenty of people ready to take advantage of him and his labor skills. A lot of times in construction, money is in the air for workers, and he learned it the hard way. Jack trusted his buddy Frank to pay him when he finished a drywall job. He finished faster than expected, and Frank gave him half the money and kept the rest for himself. Frank was the supervisor and helped him get the job, so he let it slide. Another time it happened again. Jack did the job in stellar time, 2 days before it was supposed to be finished. He was on stilts most of the job, gaining knowledge and showing it in his work, but somehow Frank thought it was appropriate to give him less than promised. Jack found out through other friends that it was a common theme in Frank's transactions. giving people less than promised. Jack stopped working for Frank soon after and started gaining more expertise and found enough friendly workers that he had a team whenever he needed. At such a young age, he was already supervising sites and still working hands-on to make sure everything was 100%. Fast forward 5 years, Jack's still doing his thing, homes are being built left and right, and he's getting non-stop calls. One call was out of the blue, though. It was Frank. Frank was bringing up the past like it was the golden age, and Jack just listened. He was waiting for him to ask for work. Right when he did, Jack immediately said of course and had him at the job site the next day. Frank was a good worker too. He handled some transactions poorly and wasn't doing as well as he was before, but the proof was in the pudding when on the job site. When the week was over, my friend Jack went up to Frank and gave him the promised money. Then Jack said something like, "Feels good, doesn't it, to get paid what you were told you'd get? I never got that from you, but I wanted to show you how it's supposed to be. Don't come back to the job site. Don't call me for work." The whole time Jack was going to fire him if he did a good job or not. He just wanted to prove his point, and it gained him more respect with the people he worked with. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video to the end, and I'll see you in the next one.